Today we're going to be talking about the 3.2 extension on factoring expressions. So in order to best factor an expression, we need to use the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor, or GCF, is the largest factor of all terms. So it's the largest number or the largest factor that can go into all of the terms. So we're going to take a look at what this means. So on the first problem, 9 plus 21, we want to start by writing the factors of all of the numbers. So we can make a 9 by 1 times 9 or 3 times 3. So my factors would be 1, 3, and 9. I can make a 21 by using 1 times 21 or 3 times 7. So now that I know my factors, I can see that 3 is the greatest common factor. So we put that on the outside of the parentheses. Now 3 times what makes 9? Well, that would be 3. And 3 times what makes positive 21? That would be positive 7. So you can think of this almost like the opposite of the distributive property. We're trying to figure out what the problem would look like in a distributive property problem. So now if we look at this next example, 8x. Well, I can make an 8 by using 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. And then I'll have my x to use as well. I can make a 2 by 1 times 2. So my greatest common factor here is 2. So 2 goes on the outside. 2 times what makes 8x? That would be 4x. 2 times what makes positive 2? That would be positive 1. So let's take a look at a few more. On my next one here, I have 20z minus 8. So my factors of 20 are 1, 20, 2, and 10, and 4, and 5. My factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2, and 4. So my greatest common factor is 4. So 4 goes on the outside. 4 times what makes 20z? That would be 5z. 4 times what makes negative 8? That's negative 2. On the next one, go ahead and try listing the factors on your own to see what will go on the outside of the parentheses. If you've listed all of your factors here, we can identify that the greatest common factor of these two numbers is 4. So 4 times what makes 36a? That would be 9a. 4 times what makes negative 16b? That would be negative 4b. Now in the next set, it's telling you to factor out the coefficient of the variable. Remember that coefficient is the number on the outside or in front of the variable. So what they're saying is make that number the outside of the parentheses. So 1/3 times what makes 1/3 b? That would be 1b or b. 1/3 times what makes negative 1/3? Well, a positive times a negative makes a negative, and 1/3 times 1 equals itself. On the next one, that 2.2 goes on the outside. So 2.2 times what makes 2.2x? That'd be 1x or x. 2.2 times what makes 4.4? Now you may be able to do this mentally in your head, and if not, you can take the number and divide it by the number on the outside of the parenthesis. So when we do this, we can move our decimals to the end. 22 goes into 44 2 times. So 2.2 times 2 makes 4.4. On this number 13 here, it says factor the negative 1/2 out. So that goes on the outside of the parentheses. Negative 1/2 times 1x makes negative 1/2 x. Now negative 1/2 times what makes positive 6? We know a negative times a negative makes a positive. But now we need 1/2 times what makes 6. So again, if you're not sure, you can divide. So we would take 6 divided by 1/2. And we should remember that we can't divide by a fraction. And instead we multiply by the reciprocal, which is the flipped fraction, 2 over 1. Whole numbers are always over 1. So 6 times 2 is 12, and 1 times 1 is 1. 12 over 1 is 12. So 12 would go on our parentheses. So negative 1/2 times negative 12 would give us positive 6.